Chapter 18, 6 a.m. UTC-6, 1 p.m. UTC+1. I snapped into wakefulness like a soldier going to attention. "Where am I? When am I?" I called wildly. Hospital. Swift current. Back at the start. The adrenaline pushing through my body on Friday the 9th in Paris must have shoved my body out of sleep on Saturday the 3rd in Saskatchewan. I guess heading to meet a terrorist will do that to you, if you're a day skipper. The other side of the hospital room was still empty. My head hurt slightly. I felt hungry. I tried to rest again. No luck. So I got up and wandered into the hallway. Lights were still dimmed for the night. A couple of nurses worked at their station, and one of them spotted me. "Up so early?" she ventured. I recognized her. She was the one who had looked in after the elderly man's incident. "Yeah, can't sleep," I replied. "When's breakfast?" "About 7 a.m. I wandered. Eventually I entered a visitor's lounge and leafed through some magazines, then clicked on the switch for the TV. Inwardly, I fingered the possibilities of what to do if and when I found Koulibaly in the 20th arrondissement. Got dozy. Got jarred right through to the bone with a terrifying clatter and crash. I leaped to my feet. Just outside the lounge, a food services worker had dropped a tray of food. She stooped to clean up the mess. Then an alarm clock woke me up with the 6:30 a.m. news from a Regina radio station. For a moment, I just lay in the daze in bed, reorienting. It's the day I leave for Europe. At 6:52, I left the room and went down to the ground floor. Heading for the breakfast bar, I rounded a corner by the front desk when I felt my phone vibrate in a pocket. I stopped to fish it out. A text from Mom. "Saw your post last night. You said people wouldn't hear much from you for a while. What's going on? Are you feeling ill?" I lowered the phone and mumbled, "How am I supposed to answer?" My ears picked up the sound of elevator doors opening behind me. Laughing children's voices followed, as well as hurried footsteps. An adult male voice called, "Boys, don't run!" I looked behind, just in time to see a 5- or 6-year-old careen around the corner while looking backward at his giggling and pursuing older brother. Swinging his foot in the motion of running, the boy kicked me hard in the leg. "Ow!" I cried, crumpling as the boy spilled off me. "Merci, monsieur. Vous pouvez aller," came a voice. "Day skip." I found myself standing on the street outside the Charlie Hebdo offices amid police, emergency workers, and chaos. And while the setting didn't surprise me, it did take some time to work out what was required of me at that moment. "Merci pour votre déclaration, monsieur. Vous pouvez partir," came the voice again, this time more insistent. A police investigator stood nearby, exhibiting clear signs of impatience. "Oh yeah, I've just shown him my video of the end of the attack and given my statement. He's dismissing me." "Merci," I responded lamely, then started away from the scene. But where do I go now? "Hello, hello," came a female voice almost immediately. I looked. The gal who brought me into that office, again. The 20-something stepped toward me, away from a group of 4 women she had been huddling with. "I will try English," she stated in question form. "Some of us," she gestured back to the group, "we will not go back to the office. We would like to eat and talk." Her expression dimmed. "It has been an unhappy day." A pause. "Would you come?" My head buzzed with a whirl of, "Yes, I am hungry," and "Wow, is she good looking," and "I don't need any complications right now," and "What can it hurt?" My mouth made the selection before my mind had fully decided. "Yes, happy to join you." I learned that her name was Manon. We returned to the 4 ladies, and together we all started down a walkway to the north of Charlie Hebdo. We turned left onto a street which led to another walkway. Our group came to a dining place, Restaurant L'Écumoire. It remained open for business, despite the terror scene not far distant. A waitress escorted us to a table. Once we were settled, the women began talking about what they had witnessed from their office. Tears were shed. Anger surfaced. I listened, but soon found it difficult to keep up with the quick pace of the French conversation. Manon noticed. "You must do a favor for me," she said quietly, so the others didn't hear. I looked back questioningly. She smiled warmly. But her expression grew serious. "These are bad times," she continued. "So you must promise that you will avoid danger. Let the authorities deal with these crazy men." I was completely caught off guard by those words. Where did that come from? She can't possibly be talking about how I'm seeking out Koulibaly on Friday. Is she expressing some kind of cultural value that I'm not getting? I was about to question Manon when one of the other ladies turned toward me with questions of her own. Where was my home? Why was I in Paris? How did I know the gunmen were about to attack? I answered as best I could, but felt relieved when the food arrived. Manon's words had unsettled and confused me. Before we started to eat, Manon raised her glass. "Pour notre sécurité, et aussi pour la santé des blessés," she intoned solemnly. Then she looked at me, smiled, touched me lightly on the arm, and added in English, "And gratitude for gallant saviors." The warmth in her voice and in her touch melted my confusion to nothing. The ladies chatted while we ate. One of the women asked me why I'd wanted to go to the roof of their workplace building. Instead of answering, I found the video on my phone and handed it to her to view. The ladies shook their heads in horror and disgust as they watched. In the exchange of the phone from the woman's hand back to mine, a fumbling motion caused someone's finger to brush the touchscreen. When I looked at the display, a window had opened inquiring delete or cancel. My finger moved to select cancel, but never got there. My hand hung at my side as I stood in a small room at the police prefecture. My shoulders slumped with sudden exhaustion. For in the Thursday I'd come back to, I had risen early, tried to prevent a policewoman shooting, drove over an hour's distance from Paris, witnessed a robbery, stole Koulibaly's cell number from the Kouachis, faced skeptical police, and helicoptered back to the city. I seated myself at the table which occupied the middle of the room. I yawned an immense yawn and rubbed my eyes. "I am going to fall asleep in my chair," I said to the empty room. The idea crossed my mind that, if the room really was used for interrogation, police might be secretly watching me. I wanted to lie down, if only for a few minutes, but would that look suspicious if the police are watching me? Even if it didn't look suspicious, it would look strange. I spotted a few pieces of paper and a pen sitting loose on a side table. An idea. I scribbled a note on the paper and held it up toward a dark mirror-like panel. The note read, "Tired. Going to lie down for a few minutes." I placed the paper face up on the table. Then I curled up on the floor, head resting on arm. Next thing I knew, I sat on a metro train. It slowed and pulled into Alexandre Dumas station. Instantly I knew what I needed to do, find Koulibaly. 2 more stops on this line, then get off and switch to line 1. Avron station came next, followed by Nation station. I exited. Hurrying, I found the line 1 platform and waited for the next eastbound train. I entered the train at 1:16. Porte de Vincennes station came and went. While I traveled, I fretted about the next possible move with the terrorist. Is it too simple? At 1:26 the train pulled into Saint-Mandy station, and I exited both train and metro. This station was nearest to the coordinates Koulibaly had provided, in the 20th district, east of the Boulevard Périphérique, near Avenue de Paris. I texted Koulibaly, using the translation app to switch these words to French. "I'm by Avenue de Paris. Where are you?" I waited, tapping my foot, fighting the urge to call. People walked briskly in the winter chill. The metro exit had brought me out near a small treed area between Avenue de Paris and a parallel street, Avenue Gallieni. At 1:31 the phone buzzed. I read, "Hypercacher, La Morte." I got the La Morte part well enough, but not the other words. I entered them into the translation app. The program simply returned the same words, untranslated. What? I spotted a man walking nearby. "Excuse me," I said with a wave of my hand. "Do you speak English?" The man nodded. "Yes, some." "What does this mean?" I angled my phone display so the man could see. "Oh yes, hypercaché," he recognized. "This is the name of some Jewish food stores. One is near." A chill shook me. What is Koulibaly doing in a Jewish grocery store? Was he threatening death? not to me, but... Where? Where is that store? I demanded. The man thought, then pointed westward down the smaller street parallel to Avenue de Paris. Not far, I think, he said with a shrug. I thanked him and darted off through the park between Avenue de Paris and Avenue Gallieni. At an intersection across from a service station, I stopped. It was 1:42 p.m. Panic crept in. Where is it? Nothing around here looks like a grocery store. A faint pop, pop, pop came to my ears. Was that what I think it was? I walked a short block past the service station. There I stopped again. In front of me, at the end of a gray-blue ground floor of a building near the next corner, I saw the sign, Hyper Caché. And again I heard the popping sound, louder and unmistakable, gunfire. Strangely, at that moment I heard in my mind a voice from 2 days/2 hours ago. The voice was Manon's, saying, "Promise that you will avoid danger. Let the authorities deal with these crazy men." Part of me really wanted to listen to that voice. But instead I swallowed hard. I honestly believe God is allowing all this day skipping so I can be involved, I reminded myself with a quivery voice. I prayed for safety and leading as I walked toward the door of the food store. Metal screens had been drawn down over most of the windows of the store. Has he already locked this door? I wondered, half hoping it was so. The entrance door slid open. I took a deep breath. Time to play my cards. I walked in with hands held high. Koulibaly, I called loudly as I entered. C'est moi, Kyle. Dieu veut que nous nous rencontrons. I might be crazy, but I really do think God wants us to meet. A black man with shaven head, the same man I'd seen in Montrouge killing a policewoman, appeared from behind a row of shelves, holding a pistol leveled directly at me. Descendez sur vos genoux, Koulibaly shouted. I dropped to my knees as ordered, fearing to feel bullets shredding skin and organs at any moment. But a strange confidence also swelled inside me. I held the gaze of Koulibaly as the gunman moved closer. Alors, c'est vous, idiot. Pourquoi vous êtes venu? An insult and a demand to know why I've come. But I heard scuffling sounds. Koulibaly heard them too. At the far end of a grocery aisle, I saw 2 or 3 people disappear into the back stockrooms. Koulibaly barked a command to some others still in the aisle he had emerged from. At least my entrance has allowed a few more people to get away from him, I thought. Koulibaly angrily waved me over and told me to stand with the others. I got to my feet and walked out in front of the pay counters. There I froze. 3, maybe 4, lifeless forms lay around that area, dark blood pooling underneath them. I think I almost blacked out. But Koulibaly didn't let me stop long. He shouted, and I had no choice but to carefully step around bodies and blood. I came within an arm's reach of a murderer. One part of me wanted to rush the man, hurt him, take vengeance. Another part of me trembled in terror. Yet another part held steady and remembered what I felt I was there for, to save lives and maybe souls. Maybe even the soul of the murderer. In the middle of the aisle I found about 5 or 6 other terrified people, huddled closely together. Koulibaly ordered me to stop before I reached the group. A second order instructed me to turn around. Then came a repeat of the demand to know why I'd come. Dites-moi maintenant, pourquoi vous êtes venu? And this is what flashed through my mind. There's been reports of Jesus reaching out to Muslims through dreams and other odd ways. The fact Koulibaly hasn't shot me yet shows he's probably taking my words somewhat seriously. This is perhaps within his worldview. Tell him the truth. Yet I didn't feel like I could explain in French. So with boldness that surprised myself, I said, I will type it on my phone, in Francais. Koulibaly only stared with surprise, so I carefully took my phone from its pocket. No fast motions. I typed a message in English, which the app translated to French. I met you in Montrouge because I knew you would hurt the policewoman. I met your friends, the Kouachis, when they robbed the service station. I got your phone number from them. I found you. Does that not sound like God has a reason for me to meet you? I gingerly reached out to offer the phone to Koulibaly. The man took it, read. He looked back up at me, the whites of his wide eyes in stark contrast to his skin. Then I day-skipped.